right now on all of this. Does he have a point, you think, Senator, that we can't afford to keep doing this?
Hey, Neil, it's good to be on with you. There's not really a single bill yet. What we have are a series of proposals that will be the starting point for negotiations. As you say, it's disappointing that Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi want to spend another $3 trillion. Remember, last time we went through this, they tried to waste it on a bunch of their longstanding liberal wish list items, like bailing out the Kennedy Center or paying off all the post office's debt. What they want to do is to keep the country locked down. They don't want children going to schools. They don't want business to open up. What the Republicans want to do, I think what the country wants to do, is get the country opened up, get the economy back on its feet, get people back to work, and get kids back in school in a safe and responsible fashion. We ought to focus on those goals in a very calibrated and targeted fashion.
Is it your sense that at a minimum the $600 a week unemployment federal benefit goes away?
Well, I think we have to modify it in some way, Neil. In March, we had no idea.
How would you modify it, Senator?
Well, we cannot be in a position where we are paying people more not to work and to stay home than to go back to work, especially in those industries that are back open and businesses that are back on their feet. So $600 across the board in March was authorized unanimously in the Senate because we didn't know the full scope of the pandemic, what the economic impact would have. That was more of a survival package to make sure families could put food on the table for their kids and keep a roof over their family's head. So we cannot be in the situation now, though, that we know so much more about the impact of this virus where we are paying people not to work. So there are various proposals out there. We'll see where we end up, but we should not be paying workers more to stay home and not to work when they could be going back to work. I don't know exactly what it'll look like. That should be the goal, though.
Much has been made of the fact that the Republican plan, what there is of it, sir, does not include aid for indebted states. I don't know if there was a distinction made between those who piled up that debt for the virus versus those who already had a lot of debt having nothing to do with the virus.
Well, Neil, I want to remind all of your viewers that in the CARES Act, which we passed in March unanimously, we did provide a lot of aid to the states and cities. What we're not going to do is provide a no-strings-attached bailout to fiscally irresponsible states and cities that have been mismanaging their budgets and their public salary and benefits and their pensions for decades. Now, if cities and states have had specific impacts related to the virus, like in municipal-owned hospitals or in their health clinics, or overtime for police and other law enforcement officials because of the riots and the looting we've seen around the country, that would be one thing, and I would entertain that. But we're not going to have a no-strings-attached bailout for states that have long-standing fiscal problems.
Well, I still have you, and you've been dealing with the fallout from this comment on slavery, in which you said a necessary evil upon which the nation was built. Could you clarify that?
Sure, Neil. What I was referring to, obviously, is the founders' view that the Union and the Constitution were necessary to put slavery on the path to ultimate extinction, as Lincoln frequently said. And if all these liberals don't understand that basic historical fact, it just goes to show how historically illiterate they are, which is not surprising, given how historically illiterate the 1619 Project is. It's been debunked by leading historians. Its own author has admitted it's an act of journalism, not an act of history. It wants to indoctrinate our children to hate America. That's why your tax dollars should not be going to teach the 1619 Project. That's why the New York Times should not teach American history to our kids.